Welcome back to a new episode of Weekly Chew. On today's show, we'll be showing you how to make big jerk Salisbury steak and Borange Glazed carrots. For this recipe, you will need brown sugar, cinnamon, beef broth, butter, onion, flour, onion powder, garlic powder, pepper, mushrooms, breadcrumbs, salt, ground beef, carrots, 1 egg, potatoes, and canola oil. Let's get started. We're going to start with preparing our ground beef. We're going to add about 1 tablespoon of garlic powder to the 4 pounds of ground beef that we will be using for this recipe. Then we're going to add about a tablespoon of onion powder,
pepper.
Next, 1 tablespoon of pepper, and 1 tablespoon of salt. The last of our dry ingredients is going to be about 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs.
About a 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs.
Next, we're going to crack and scramble 1 egg. This will help bind the meat and the ingredients without fear of falling apart.
To bind it. Yeah, to bind it together. So it doesn't fall apart.
Once the egg is added and we have all of our ingredients ready, we're going to mix. To start off, we'll use a spoon just to get it roughly mixed.
That dark looks like it's cooked almost.
After the spoon, we'll move on to mixing it more thoroughly with our hands. You want to make sure that all of the meat mixes with the ingredients. Now we're going to shape our meat. First, we'll line a plate with wax paper so our steaks don't stick. When making your steaks, you'll mold and shape them like you would with fresh burger patties. The difference being is that these will be much larger.
Of course, it'll reduce in size. That's why I'm making them big.
You want to make them about the size of a regular steak, maybe even a little bigger. That's because when they cook, they'll reduce from the heat. After each layer of steak, make sure to put a layer of wax paper on, again, making sure that they don't stick to each other. Once the meat is ready, get out a frying pan and set your burner to a medium-high heat. Then give your pan a nice coat of canola oil, making sure to evenly cover the pan. Once the pan is hot, throw on your beef. We only add a few at a time, making sure not to overcrowd our pan. Now, we're only browning our beef at this point in time, because we're going to cook them in the oven a little later. But for now, browning them is all we're going to do. We're going to flip and brown the other side. Each side will only need about 3 to 4 minutes to brown. Once both sides are browned, we're going to remove them and place in an oven dish and set aside so we can brown the rest. While we brown the rest of our beef, let's get to making our mushroom gravy. First, take your pan and turn your burner to a medium high. Now if you didn't get your ingredients ready beforehand like we did, as you can see, we have our onion finely diced, our flour is ready, as well as our 3 cups of beef broth. Then you might want to heat your pan a little later. Here, all we have to do is slice up our 1 package of mushrooms and we're ready to go. Don't forget to clean your mushrooms before cutting. Since all we did was cut the mushrooms, our pan should be the right temperature. All we gotta do is add a few tablespoons of canola oil and 1 big tablespoon of butter. Swirl it around and let it heat. Then add the mushrooms and brown them off. Browning off the mushrooms should take about 5 minutes.
Probably take about 5 minutes to brown them off.
Now it's time to preheat the oven for our meat. Set your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and make sure your rack is in the center of the oven. Now we're going to add our half diced onion to our browned mushrooms and give it all a stir.
About half a small onion, probably.
After a few minutes, we're now going to add our 3 cups of beef broth to the mushrooms and onions, and then we're going to mix. Before the gravy gets too hot, we're going to add some to our 1 tablespoon of flour and mix it before we add it to our gravy. We do this to prevent getting lumpy gravy. The flour is there to help thicken the gravy later on. So you want it to be thick, not lumpy.
Smooth, so you're not gonna have lumpy gravy.
Once added, mix well.
Right away so they incorporate. Pepper.
Next, we'll add about 1 tablespoon of pepper.
We're not adding salt because the beef is already, the broth is already salted to begin with.
and we'll want to bring the gravy to a boil before reducing the heat to a simmer. About this time, the last of our meat should be browned off,